So is there any questions that anybody has for me?
How about for me? Does anyone have any questions for me right now?
Yes. I feel like I have lots of questions, but major one being, if those co-recs are done previous to the actual nursing program, for example, that first semester in the nursing program, if you've already taken AMP2, that drops your credits down to 11 credits, which is not going to be ideal for financial aid circumstances.
You're right. And so what we suggest is that you take some of the credits that are required as prereqs for the RN to BSN to fill out your credit needs. And so, and we've listed those, and we're using Montana Tech because we're partnered with Montana Tech. And so we list their additional prereqs that are required for their RN to BSN under this new curriculum, which is the statistics class, a 200 level writing class, Psych 230, and a humanities elective. So you can fill in with those to take the credits that you need.
So just one correction to that, though, they're not prereqs, they're co-reqs.
For the RN.
The BSN completion,
That's right.
those are co-reqs.
Correct. Thank you.
Yes, and that was, I was kind of on the same question. I wondered if you had tailored this to go with that program, because when I looked online just yesterday, they were asking for some classes that were, you know, different, that were
Who was
for the Montana Tech.
Oh, the RN.
Yeah, because it said you can complete it in 1 year if you have all these other ones done. And there was like an advanced writing class. It was like a $398 or something, and then they have a.
And I'm sorry, I don't know if their webpage is updated or not. And
I have the answer to that.
Oh, Mary has that answer. And so does Tucker. Tucker advises to that as well.
So the reason for that is because they will not be actually implementing the new curriculum until after the first group of graduates from the new ASN curriculum.
Okay, good.
So what you're seeing up there is their present curriculum. And so until they implement that, you'll continue to see their old curriculum up there. And that is also true for MSU Northern. They will be continuing theirs because the students that are in the old curriculum will be ready to enter into the new.
Every college is setting up their own timeline. And so what I've talked to you about today is Missoula College's timeline as far as teaching out the PN, accepting into the new ASN. So that's really all I was talking about today. But thank you for bringing that up. That's a good point. So they're in their process. They're on target, but they just have a different timeline. Thank you. Yes.
So with all the changes in this program, why wasn't the program increased? You're still ultimately only taking 18 students a semester. That's 36 nurses a year you're putting out. I just don't see that why. I mean, you went through a lot of work, and we're in a need.
We actually have the same number of students in our program as the 1+1. It's just the ASN now is 4 semesters, and it used to be 2 semesters as a PN, 2 semesters as an RN.
Right, where was the increase?
Well, we are still limited by clinical sites and clinical availability for the RN. We still need to place them in the community, and there will always be, the Board of Nursing dictates how many students you can accommodate per clinical instructor, and that's 10 to 1. And so it would never be more than 10 to 1. And so what we are able to do, because we are partnered with Marcus Daly Hospital, for instance, as a clinical site, they tell us we can only accept 8 students. 10 is too many. So that's how that got put at 18. And so, that's just an evolving process. And maybe that number will go up as we use different modes But that's going to be evolving, but that's what it is right now, and so that's what I'm talking to right now.
I think it is really important, what Dixie said is absolutely right on, but it's really important to realize that the number of RNs graduating from Missoula College has increased greatly. The number of students graduating is still the same, but those students that were in the practical nursing program, those slots have been moved into the RN program. So the number of RNs, and that's where that statistic comes of increasing this number of RNs in the state of Montana, comes from because Dixie's program and others like it will be moving those slots into more RNs.
Yes?
Maybe it's just me, but I'm having trouble understanding. Earlier in your slides, you said that there was a shortage for LPNs. But now the program is gone, so who's going to fill those slots? Those other colleges? But what about Missoula?
So because the program is being offered in a distance, those students can stay in Missoula and go to school in Great Falls. The reason it's not in Missoula is because when an assessment was completed to have a PN program in Missoula, at Flathead, at Great Falls, and Helena, and then the only one on the other side is Billings, that was too many PN programs for the area because the number of slots within those programs will be increasing as the program unfolds.
And to add to that, what was happening at Missoula College, students were applying to the PN option only to get to the RN option for the most part. So when we had 20 students in the PN option, approximately 95 to 98% were applying because their goal was to become an RN. It wasn't to be a PN. So everybody was competing for those spots, and we'd have one or two that wanted to be PNs, took the NCLEX, got their license, and their intent was to work as a licensed practical nurse. The majority just wanted to move on to the RN. So to offer an option for one or two students isn't viable. And so the schools that could draw in and get enough students to make it a viable option, a viable offering, offered and are setting it up to do online so they can accommodate students across the state like Mary referred to.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yes?
I had a question about the GPA.
Okay.
Let's say you have, because you said Columbus you have a 2.75 when you're eligible in the program.
Yes.
But then when you go for advising, you're told you have to have a 3.75 because the competition is so high. So you're forced to retake the classes, not knowing whether you pass with a higher grade or not.
Good question. So her question was, she's hearing that you have to have a 2.75 to be eligible, but then when you go to advising, she hears, well, you need at least a 3.75 to be competitive. So she's right, 2.75 to be eligible. I never know, we never know, you never know ahead of time what that competitive GPA is going to be. It's dependent on the number of students that apply. If you get a big number of students that apply, it's going to be a higher number because the odds are just that it's going to be higher. If you have a lower number of students that apply, it might be a 3.25. So advising is telling you to be a strong candidate without knowing how many are going to apply. They're telling you it should be about 3.75, but that doesn't stop you from applying. Once you've got 2.75, you're eligible. You can apply. You might get a letter saying you weren't chosen for this application process, this admission cohort, because your GPA wasn't as competitive, but you can apply. There's no limit to the number of times that you can apply.
Do you want to just clarify that that competitive GPA is your prereq GPA only?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
So when we talk about the cumulative GPA, that's every class you've taken since high school. The competitive GPA are the list of prerequisite classes. And that's the ones that they're saying you might want to be 3.75 or better, depending on the numbers. That's the A&P 1, the chemistry and the chemistry lab, the RIT 101, the math 115 or 121. That's not a whole lot of classes. So you take those numbers and you crunch those numbers. That's what we're looking at for that competitive GPA. So you could see where that could be pretty high some semesters.
Okay, so if I get you right, so 2.75 is a cumulative in
Yes.
general,
Yes.
and then the 3.75 is for the 4 classes.
Yes.
The writing.
It could be 3.75, it could be 3, we never know what that will be. That depends on the applicants. That could change every semester. We know 2.75 has to be higher than that. What the competitive ones, what the competitive GPA for the prerequisite classes, that's going to vary. And honestly, this is our first time, this is our first semester offering this standalone ASN this fall. So we're going to see how this all rolls out. This is kind of a pilot. We're going to see how it all goes. And so that's what it is right now. It might be a little bit fluid. We might have to tweak some things. But as Mary pointed out, that's nursing. So you've got to be able to roll with that because that's what nursing is. Any other questions? Seemed like you had some questions.
I'd like to add a little bit to your question on the PM programs.
Yes.
If you are interested in looking at how each college is doing this, I would like to really have you all applaud Dylan and his team for the incredible website that they have done for Healthcare Montana. And on there, every school that's offering these curriculum changes is on there. So you can actually go on there and see what each individual school is doing. And specifically, the 5 colleges doing the practical nursing.
Dylan, do you want to give that website address? Do you know that?
Oh, yeah. So it's healthcaremontana.org. You can either spell out Montana or you can use MT.
Great.
So healthcaremontana.org.
So Healthcare Montana, you can either spell out, so it's HEALTHCARE, Montana, so it could be MT or MONTA.org. Go ahead and take a look at that, and that will have lots of information on how the different colleges are offering and making the changes to their curriculums.
Their application processes, everything about each of the colleges when it's completed, and I think it's almost done. Getting there.
Yeah, the program comparison
Everything
information
will
will
be
be
on there
available
about
soon.
every college, so.
Any other questions? Yes?
You had mentioned that, like, the credit, no credit counts as one, or the other. What about auditing a class?
Audit would not count as an attempt. It's only if it's WP or WF. If you have just a withdraw, just good old plain W, it doesn't count as an attempt.
Or the NC, or the...
Right. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
You mentioned we are supposed to take a test prior to applying for the nursing program?
You can take that when you apply,
When-
because there is a cost involved to that, for that test. So Missoula College offers it the week that applications are due. So this fall, if you're applying for spring, it will be the first week of November, and we offer it over in our computer lab, and it's proctored by one of our faculty, and it's scheduled for a 4-hour exam. It rarely takes that long, but you register for it ahead of time and you pay for it the day of the exam, and that's when you can take it. It's Assessment Testing, Inc. is the one that sponsors it, and different campuses across the state offer it as well. We need a proctored result sent to us so that we have your official result. And that's the TEAS test, Test of Essential Academic Skills.
Is there a way we can study the
There
content?
is, there's always a way you can study. If you go to Amazon.com, they have books. If you Google it, there's things, resources available online. Lots of different options there. And I recommend you study for it because it's 25% of this. And it's, it's a test of essential academic skills. It covers science and math and writing, and it's not a bad idea to study. In fact, a very good one. Thanks.
That is available in testing services on the Mountain campus as well now.
Testing Services on the Mountain campus also offers a proctored exam. So lots of options there. We just need that score by the time we need that score in a timely manner, or we can't use that in your application packets. So there are some time constraints when you go to apply, and you'll just want to check on that. Any other? Yes.
Another question about those co-rec classes.
Yes.
Completely understand why it's ideal to take them prior to applying. If, for example, I would be applying and only have 2 of those left to complete during the nursing scope and sequence, is that even, feasible? Or I'm
It
just
is
concerned
feasible.
about the scheduling, which
Sure.
I know, especially with that microbiology class only being offered in the spring.
It is feasible, and there are other options for that microbiology class. University of South Dakota offers an online option.
Oh, really?
It would cost you more money, but Missoula College offers it in the evenings. There are other options. It is feasible.
Okay.
It sets you up for success if you get it done, but you can apply.
Okay.
And then you can be thinking about where you're going to, sociology, for instance, is an online option. So you can get that done while you're in the nursing. There's a little more flexibility there, so definitely doable. So that's a good question. It is doable. Yes?
I just had a question about your program's previous prerequisites.
Okay.
So I know a bunch of us have already taken most of those. Is there going to be a concession for those classes or consideration?
So
Like
the only
nutrition
ones
or-
that aren't required anymore are those 4 credits. Nutrition, 3 credits, and intro to nursing, 1 credit.
Okay, so
That's
for
the
those-
only thing that's changed.
For those 2 classes, will there be consideration for those?
I'm not sure what you mean by consideration. You will be glad you took them once you get into the option, because that nutrition component is now woven into each of the nursing classes. That's going to give you some fallback knowledge. Does that change your application number anyway? No, it does not.
It might help our GPA though.
That might help your GPA, your cumulative GPA, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, this is about if I choose to do LPN online.
Okay.
Am I required to go on site for some classes? And where do I do my clinicals? How?
That's a good question, and it's up to each of those colleges that were listed how they work their program. So if you're interested in Helena College, you'll want to look at what Helena College requires. If you're interested in Flathead Valley Community College, you'll want to look at or this website that Dylan is putting together. I can't really speak for their programs. I could get into trouble doing that. There's only so much, and maybe they've had to change or, from what I last heard from them. I would want you to get the most accurate information directly from that college.
So to partially answer your question, yes, you will have to go to campus. There is no program in the nation that offers 100% of a nursing program in a distance delivery model. You have to do your clinicals, you have to have lab competencies. So again, as Dixie said, it will be set up on each campus. Some campuses may be that you will come 2 days a semester, some may once a week. Again, you'll have to look and see. But to answer your question, definitely yes, there will be times when you do have to go to campus. They'll just be short. Yes?
I did notice that the microbiology, we have to take the lab and but I did notice the regular class part is offered in the summer.
Good.
I saw it on there just yesterday.
Get it done. Yay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else? Yes.
So you will continue to allow like a step-up program for people that are currently LPNs that meet the prereqs?
Good question. Yes, we will. And so as we finish that teach out, we'll still allow licensed nurses to apply for the +1. Once that goes away, they'll apply into this standalone option, and they'll begin their coursework in semester 2. But they'll have to apply at the application time. And it's possible they'll either wait out a semester, or they can start taking some of those RN to DSN requirements, because we don't want too much redundancy, so you're not going to have to retake every course that you've already taken. But starting in semester 2, you will pick up with the health and illness of the maternal nursing and pathophysiology, I believe. So you'll start picking up those classes, and then you'll be full semester in semester 4 and semester 5. There'll always be a way for you to move into that, always. And we'll work with you on that.
And the adult nursing course, the adult health nursing course that you, the med-surg course that you took in your practical nursing program will count as the first level of med-surg in the RN program when you come in as an LPN. So that class will substitute, so you won't have to take that 7 credit hours.
Good question.
One more.
One more. Sure.
Okay, so in January, did you start a new group of the LPNs that are in their first semester?
Yes, we did.
So they will be finished in, that's a two semester?
Yes.
So all of them will be applying for the slots in January, feasibly 95% of them.
Yes.
Will be applying for the
+1. But
+1.
we'll still offer the standalone. So we'll
So
have
you'll have-
2 things going on there.
In January, you'll have 18 standalone, and then you'll have your +1.
And we'll have 18 standalone, and we'll have 18 +1.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I was worried about that.
We're going to have a lot of things going on
Okay, well, that
for the next
clarifies it.
few
Thank you. I
years.
appreciate that.
And eventually, we will get to the point.
Bring all your
It's
teachers
standalone
chocolate
only.
every
You're
day.
gonna need it.
Dark chocolate, yeah. Bring your teachers. Yeah, that couldn't hurt.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. I really think it's a good thing in the long run, and I appreciate that you guys are caught in the change. But when you think about it in the big picture, students were applying to the PN, and then really their long-term goal was to be an RN, and then having to reapply and go through that stress again. And part of the challenge is we had 20 spots in our PN because we had 20 spots for clinicals, but we only have 18 spots in our RN. So if 100% of the students applied from the PN to the RN, right there were 2 students that didn't get accepted. So they would wait till the next semester and then reapply. But there are 2 students from that cohort that didn't get accepted, so they would wait to the next. And the anxiety and stress for one just is too much. Now it's fair, this is their goal, start as an RN and finish as an RN. And the other part of that, we had to have what was called a transition to nursing class. That's one of the credits that we were able to cut, because you train the nurses at the PN level to think like a practical nurse. They have a different scope of practice outlined by the Board of Nursing. So you need to transition them, now think like a registered nurse. You've got a different scope of practice, and you're going to have a different NCLEX exam to take. You're going to have a different license. So we were able to do away with that class, because now once you're in the RN, you start as an RN and you finish as an RN. And the Board of Nursing was behind that 100%. They said you need to teach to the level that the student wants to graduate with. So they were really behind this separation of PN and RN. It makes sense in the bigger picture. It makes sense for the students. It's just we got to get there. And I'm sorry if some of you have been caught in that awkward, this is what was required, now I don't have to take nutrition. But we need to progress as a state. For all those reasons that Mary talked about, we've got to get there. We've got to get up to speed. Because once you get your license, you can go anywhere. You can go to Washington, D.C., you can go to Texas, and you're a registered nurse now. You might have to apply for a license there, but you've got your degree. We need to teach you across the board so that you compete with those nurses from any other state, and that you can give, like Mary pointed out, the best patient care out there. Because we want to be proud of our state, and we want to be proud of our nurses. So thank you for coming, and thank you for putting up with all this. I appreciate it very much. I really do. Okay?